Mom.
Hey,
How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Had a rough morning. Not rough, but busy morning. But other than that, I'm good.
Yeah, I had a busy morning too. There's something in the water this morning. I had a really my morning. I was like a busybody this morning, like in a fun way, like
Yeah,
just creating and doing fun things, as you will know, because I posted some things on TikTok this morning.
yeah. I
So
saw some of
so
it.
Yeah, and then I had an exercise session. It took me like hours before I got dressed to exercise early this morning, and so many things happened before I actually got around to actually starting to exercise. It took me at least about 3 hours before I actually got into the exercising. But it was a good morning already for me, and I watched two of your videos or three of your videos from your YouTube channel this
Really?
morning. Yep.
I saw two messages, yeah, and I
Yeah.
answered you to
I didn't
those.
get to comment on the third one, but you have been doing a series this summer talking about basic kitchen herbs. So this morning I learned about basil and I learned about um what was the other one?
Parsley.
Remember parsley, right? Parsley, and I also started to watch the Cayenne one, but I ran out of time, so I couldn't comment. But
Wow.
for anybody, hello everybody. For anybody who don't know us, and you are seeing us for the first time, this is mom and daughter, and we're gonna have a mom and daughter chat. And I am Letitia, and this is my mom, Annie.
Yeah,
Point the right direction. I gotta get it right. This is my
yeah.
mom, Annie, and we have YouTube channels. And we have our YouTube channels have different purposes, but we kind of like get together every once in a while, and we bring our YouTube channels together. We bring our um, thoughts and ideas and opinions and point of view together, and we have a kind of like a generational chat where we talk about different things from the different perspectives of the generation that we're from. How we see the world from our perspective, from our vantage point, our point of view. So my mom, she has three channels. What she does, like D how you say it? DIY, do it yourself, at home naturals, where you she makes creams and soaps and tinctures and what else you make, mom?
So
Lots of
many
stuff.
different things.
So many things.
I
Hair
make
product,
hair things.
yeah, capsules. What else you make? Gummies. Oh, she tries everything.
Everything.
She is a healer and herbalist in the making. Like, you have been doing it for how long? How long have you been doing this?
Almost probably around 6 years, but like really passionate about certain things. Probably, well, every year there's a layer that adds on to
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
I don't even know how to,
But
but it
but
started
then the first step started 6 years ago, around six
seven,
years ago,
7 years ago.
around 7 years ago.
Yeah,
I
the
am
first step.
so proud of you. I know I tell you this every single time we talk, but I am so proud of you. I mean, like, I am just so proud
Thank
of you.
you. Yeah,
And I love that you are doing this. I watch your videos today in your kitchen talking about these herbs, and you were sharing about your herbal books. And anybody that's looking at the background behind you will see that you got your herbs, and that's not even everything.
no,
and and that's not even everything, because
no.
everyone, you got some of them on the couch.
Yeah, and I did, Tatiana, and I did inventory. I think last week it was, we spent hours doing inventory of
Wow, I
the,
am so impressed, and I love that you're doing this because I get to learn from you is wonderful. You when you make things, you bring them and share them with me, so I get to
Sharing
experience.
with people in
Yeah,
general.
I get to experience your products and the things that you make. And I often say this, and every time I make you blush every time I often say this,
Every time.
but you could see the glow, you could see the health of your hair and skin, and you know nobody won't believe how the age category in which you're in, you know
I'm gonna
because
make them.
you look so good. You look very, very good.
Thank you. But I'm
I
gonna
mean,
make I'm for my birthday, there is gonna be a special number. So I'm going to make a reveal this year.
you're gonna
I think
share your
it,
age,
yeah, I
so
think it
because
is
it's a milestone birthday.
yeah,
Yeah,
because I would be so grateful to get there.
yeah.
I would be so grateful to get there.
Yeah.
So I think that it's time for me to make a reveal.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I am, like I said, I'm very proud of you, and you could see as you are walking example of the lifestyle that you live and the practices that you do.
Thank
So it's not just to say that you're making things and you can't see it on you. You can see it on you. You can see it in your skin. You can see it in your hair. You can see it
wow.
in everything.
Thank you.
So anyway, I have no idea if I actually share the channels, but I always like go off go off track. But my mom's channels is Sweet Annie's Natural, Sweet Annie's Kitchen, and Sweet Annie's Faith.
Yep,
And the most popular one is, right now, the most active one is Sweet Annie's
yep,
Naturals, because that is everything. That is your products and your kitchen stuff
yeah,
and your teachings, all of that in one on one YouTube channel.
yeah. That's how. I'm trying to, make that. How to put it? That is how it started. It
Yeah,
started that I had
yeah.
everything on one channel. So now I'm trying to branch off. It is not proven very.
Is a tricky thing, because you when you because I've done that. I've been on Instagram and I've done that. I had a main channel, and then I would start to create more channels so that you could like separate your interests, right? But you always end up for a while at least, like putting everything on the main channel, because that's where you have your most of your followers, like that's our subscribers. That's where a good chunk of your people are. So you don't really want only put the video on the lesser known channels to then they get missed. So
Yeah,
it is always tricky to make that separation, but eventually you fully make that separation.
true. And going down memory lane.
Mhm.
I went down memory lane last night. I was watching a couple of my own old videos to see how far I've come
Mhm.
and to see if I made any kind of improvements in my approach and everything. I
Mhm.
realized I was always true to myself when it comes to explaining things and telling
Yeah,
stories and all of
yeah,
that. I was always true to myself that way because I always say I do not want to come on and just uh, show you how to make something just like that, blah, blah, blah. I want you to know that this is something that I had incorporated in my life and that I grew up with or whatever the
yeah,
case may be. So I would always share a story. And
yeah,
I know a lot of times people don't like these stories, they want to think, but if I always say if that is what you want, they got a lot of faceless channels out
yeah,
there that
yeah,
just come and do those things. But
yeah. Yeah, because the truth is, like, there's a lot of content on the internet and on social
lot,
media and all
a
that. So
lot.
I mean, At this point, for somebody who is growing a channel herself, at this point, I've decided that, you might as well be yourself, because let people
Yeah.
know up front what is authentically you, because I mean they got options. So you often think, I can't compete with these people, I can't
Yeah.
compete with this channel, I can't, you
Yeah.
know and you concern yourself with all the different reasons why you should do things differently, or you should, you know heed the advice of people that make the advice videos and stuff like that, and they do it the way how they say and all that. But you know, I guess it really depends on how fast you want to grow, and if you really just want to take that shortcut, you just want that audience, you just want, you want to do it fast, or if you want to be do it the way how, your authentic way, the way how you see it, and make it your own, make it your own, make it uniquely you,
Yeah.
because I take stock of the people that I watch on these different things. And honestly, I take people for who they are. My favorite kinds of videos is people who are just authentically themselves. Like when you're watching this video, you get in the gist of what kind of person this person is, right? You feel in that person's energy. I personally like that, you know. And one of the things that for me, I would love to happen is I want to find people who are audience kind of like that, are the that kind of people who really appreciate presence and authenticity, and appreciate the energy of people, you
Yeah.
know and not necessarily focus on their flaws. Like if you think that they're talking too long, or they're talking too slow, or they
Yeah.
or whatever you're thinking about, what kind of whatever your thoughts are in the quality of the video. If you could just feel the energy of the person, right?
Well,
you
I'm not
know
a glass stalker, but what made it worthwhile for me a week ago, I think it was, I got a comment from somebody on one of my videos, and she said I really like this person's energy. I don't
yeah,
think she used the word energy.
yeah,
What she meant was energy.
yeah,
Like I guess she like more of the
yeah,
laid back, slower talking.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was thinking when you were talking to
Hmm.
that my Angelo
Oh yeah. Yeah,
probably she was saying, you know, I hate my voice. I hate the way how I talk. I
yeah,
hate this.
yeah.
I hate that. Probably
She
she
probably had a lot of people that would tell her, like would comment on her voice, and
I
comment on
know,
her.
I
Yeah,
know, I know, I know AI is using her voice.
yeah, because there's a special voice, that's Maya
Because
Angelou's voice.
it's
And you
a,
know what I was thinking too, as I was listening to you, a thought crossed my mind. I was thinking that if we don't be our authentic selves, then we will not find our people. The people that we find, the audience that we find, will be fake. You
yeah,
understand? They won't be our people, because they will be the people that we shaped ourselves to attract. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like instead of for me personally, I don't mind it happening slowly if my authentic energy
yeah,
draws in people that are attracted to my energy, that's attracted to what I have to offer, and what I'm all about.
yeah.
You know
Because it's not a marathon. I mean,
exactly. I call myself a social media
yeah,
turtle,
it is.
because it's not for me, it's not a marathon. For me, I would rather it happen slowly and authentically than fast and I'm not true to myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I was doing this for probably over 4 years, and I must admit that it's only within the last, I would say within the last 2 years or so that I started really posting consistently and stuff like that. Because
yeah,
yes, I would post, but it's only within the last 2 years. Because sometimes you hear these negative comments and stuff like that, and it
yeah,
starts to get under your skin and it
yeah,
discourages you a little. But what I want to say to anybody out there that might be starting their YouTube channel, do you.
mm,
Don't let people discourage you. Don't let people stop you. Don't let, because I'm so glad that I got up one day and said I was going to do it, not really knowing much of
yeah,
anything.
yeah,
And I am glad I might not have thousands of subscribers like other
mm,
people, but
mm,
I'm getting there, and I am
yeah,
so glad, and I am so appreciative of
mm,
the ones that I do have. The
yeah,
ones that took that time
yeah,
to press that subscribe button.
yeah. Me too. Me too. And so let me just introduce myself too and my channel. This video is going to be posted on my channel. My channel's theme is Letitia Learns Life. And the reason chose that theme is because I find that this moment that we're in is I find that this moment is like a world changing, historical, very like end of a century, end of a period in history, and transition into a beginning of something. And I love the fact that I am a millennial, and I am here in my 40s in the age of technology where we could create, where we could do these things. I was watching you this morning on your channel and you in your kitchen, and I was thinking about, I know I talk about this show almost every time we talk, but that's because it has a little influence on me. I was thinking about, again, with Love Megan, or Megan with Love, or whatever, the Netflix show, right? And I was thinking about you in your kitchen, and I was thinking, you see, you don't have to be a celebrity anymore to create a show like that. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a big name to have a kitchen show, a show where you sharing recipes, or a show where you sharing tips, or like just before I came upstairs, there was somebody doing an exercise video. Imagine we had to like um, sign up for cable and have these shows be on cable TV or whatever, in order to get a workout video or whatever. Now you could get any kind of discussion, any kind of show on any topic,
Yeah.
from anybody. And that person doesn't need a producer, that person doesn't need a writer, that person doesn't need makeup artists, you know, they don't need a whole crew. Is more authentic, and it makes you feel more connected to the world, you know. And I
And
know this is,
your channel,
no, don't worry. I'm gonna get back to my channel. I know I always do my little detours. That's a thing that you will get to know about me, because my channel is Tish Era INFJ, and I focus on the INFJ part because, like, INFJ is, our mind is so different. It's a rare personality, and we got this kind of like, we we see connections, and we see like how things connect in different ways. So that's why I always go on these little detours, because I'll be having a conversation, and then I would see a different connection from, a new thought will pop in my head related to the thought that I'm having.
but the
So
same thing happens to me.
yeah, so one of the things that I try to practice, but not too hard, but practice is like focus and all that. But part of my charm is not the focus. Part of my charm is the things that pop up when you don't expect. I'm like, where's that thought come from? It comes from having it be connected to something new. So anyway, Letitia Learns Life is about me exploring various topics, observing the world, but not only observing the world, but and learning and unlearning and discovering and all that kind of stuff is about it's about me too transitioning along with the world shifting. I am also shifting. So I call this period of my life my butterfly era because I feel like I am finally like coming out of that cocoon and spreading my wings and like starting to explore life and have an enthusiasm for life that I never had before, like a desire to try things and create things and learn things. So when I told you at the beginning of this video that I was a busybody this morning, it was hard to focus because I had so many ideas, so many things I wanted to do, you know. So like so much excitement and energy and the thing is, I talk about politics too on my channel, and I recognize what is going on and how horrible a lot of things that are happening right now are. I recognize that and I'm aware of all that. And it's very odd to feel this way about myself, to feel so enthusiastic about life and so excited about the possibilities of the future and all this kind of stuff, as we got like a dark force right now that actively trying to steal our future, actively trying to steal our hope and our enthusiasm and our excitement and all that kind of stuff. So I find it to be very interesting to be having this feeling of this butterfly feeling while things madness is happening all around you know so the main purpose of this video, this recording that we doing, this talk that we was doing, was about religion and spirituality. And that's a little bit of a nerve-wracking
Yeah.
conversation because you want to get your words right, you want to say things right, and you don't want to trigger people, you don't want to
Yeah.
whatever, it's
Because
a, it's
people
yeah.
are really strange when it comes to talking about religion and spirituality.
And the thing is too is
They,
that I remember growing up, I used to hear this. I was told, that you don't talk about certain things, you don't talk about money, you don't talk about like there's certain things that are very divisive, like money and sports and politics and religion, and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, I
Those are
hear that too.
divisive conversations.
I hear that.
So the thing I'm gonna say here is that this is just a natural conversation between a mom and a daughter that we are letting people
In
view and
our
participate in.
conversation,
And oh, what you said?
that we are letting people in on our
Yeah.
conversation.
When we I am sweating,
Talk
so you'll see
together.
me use my washcloth every once in a while. It's hot. It's hot this summer. But yeah, when we talk, we like often talk for almost 2 hours all the time. Jeez on brothers. That's crazy. I just a little tangent. I do this, some a little detour, but I started to watch a video about an INFJ just before I came upstairs, so I didn't get to finish it. While I was dressing, and it was talking about things that INFJs don't know about themselves. And the one of the things that it started with the fact that in the INFJ it says introverted. That's the first was the first letter what the first letter means, introverted, right? But the truth is, in this video, it said that INFJ is not actually introverted. They're a social introvert. They need to recharge. And, if you're not comfortable with somebody, you don't really talk much. So it seems as though
Yeah,
you're introverted and you're quiet. But when you're talking about deep conversations and you're talking with people that make you comfortable, you could talk for hours and it energizes you. And I was like, when I watched that video, I was like, I'm going to send this video to my mom because it reminded me of our conversations.
Yeah.
Anybody here? I've always said a lot of my people, which is very little bit, not a lot, but I don't have a lot of people. But a lot of my people would say, "You an introvert?" And I would say the reason that you don't know me as an introvert is because you are my friend. You
Yeah.
are my you. I'm comfortable with you, so you don't know that introverted side of me because I talk with you. And that's a compliment. If I have a big long conversation with you, it means that I see you as a safe person. I see you as a friend or somebody I trust, somebody I feel okay revealing myself to you, revealing my ideas and all
Well,
that.
thank you.
So
Well,
it's a
thank you.
compliment. It's a compliment. So yeah, we have deep conversations all the time, and we never know where the conversations are gonna go.
It's
A
true.
lot of times we'll be saying goodbye and have like five more conversations before we end the conversation. But we will start to say goodbye, and then five more topics will come up before the goodbye
Yeah.
completed. you know. So
Hmm.
that's how we talk. So this is gonna be a natural conversation. We will see where it goes. It is not to offend anybody or trigger anybody because right now, as far as I'm concerned, I feel as though I am still exploring my religion, my spirituality. My concept of religion and my spirituality. So this is more for me going to be a feelings conversation. This is going to be talking about natural raw feelings that you felt or feel associated with certain things in that conversation. That's what it is for me. I I know that one of the things that you did and have been doing is a lot of studying. I don't study. I haven't studied my Bible. I haven't studied other religions. I haven't studied anything on things. So from my end, it's going to be all about instinct, feelings, that inner knowing, that natural knowing, that natural feeling, and a little bit of what I've heard or learned, and observations and what I've heard and learned from, other sources and that kind of stuff. You know, so just to say, there's a few things that y'all gonna notice me keep constantly doing, like doing this and wiping my sweat. It's a hot room. So just letting you know, it's summer and it's hot. Um, you want to say anything? What is there like?
I was listening to you for you to
You have any
finish saying
thoughts?
what you were saying.
You have any thoughts about what I just said? You agree with what I just said about
You mean about
what this
what?
conversation is gonna be
Yeah,
like?
because we were having a conversation a few days ago.
Yeah,
It was about religion and spirituality. I can't
yeah.
remember exactly what we discussed in that
Because we have
time.
5,000 conversations in one conversation. That's why.
That's what I mean. So,
We
so
talk about a lot of things.
I
So, that's how the conversations normally go. We just talk about a lot of things, a lot of things come up, you
and I
know.
just felt that. I just felt that, you know, when we talking like that, we go, as you say, we go into so many different things.
Mhm.
But all right, let's think. I lost my train of thought. You go ahead.
That's okay. So that's okay. So, let me see what I was gonna say. I got some notes here.
I
I don't write a lot. No, don't write a lot of notes because what I've said this in videos that we've done before. One of the things I find is if I write too many notes, then I can try to stick to the notes, and that actually will make the conversation unnatural. So I like organic conversations that just naturally flow.
yeah,
So you have been studying for a while, like a long time. You do your Bible. You are or were a consistent Bible studier. You practice
for
getting any word, and you are actually one of those people
over
that
30 years,
memorize.
for over
Yeah,
30 years.
Yep, and you're actually one of those people that memorize where, like, you would hear a verse and you would kind of know instantly what part of the Bible it is. I am not like that at all. I again am a like a feelings person. I know Bible verses because of what it made me feel, like how that the story impacted my, like I will collect the wisdom from the story. So I have like a memory of that, of parts of that story, or that, or the whole story, or the verse, or whatever. But if you ask me where to find it, I will have to Google that information. I would have to look that up in the search engine,
Oh,
right? I do not remember many verses. There's one that I remember now, John 10:10, because I talked about that recently. John 10:10, so I remember that. That's the one that talks about the I
still,
think it's the thief or something, the
yeah, the thief comes to steal, kill, and
steal
destroy.
and kill and destroy.
But
That has that's
some versions have it different. You know, the enemy, the thief. Some
right. Right. See, you are also the kind of person that knows the different versions
yeah.
of biblical interpretation and stuff like
And
that.
but truthfully speaking, I recently I don't study as much as I used to. I
Yeah.
remember when I first you were a little girl when I first became a believer.
Mhm.
And I could not get enough of Proverbs.
Yeah.
Proverbs, because Proverbs is where you could find all the wisdom.
Yeah.
If you want to know certain things, you go to Proverbs. If you want to know different prayers that you can pray for things, because David prayed a lot of prayers, and
Yeah.
stuff, you go to Psalms, things like that.
Yeah.
And I I wonder sometimes too if that can be your downfall, because
Yeah.
when I say downfall, I mean you're looking for certain things because you know certain things. You're looking for that in other people as well, but you
Yeah.
don't find it in other people because, just as you said, you know nothing about nothing like that.
Mm.
So sometimes when you, like, I don't want to say Bible thumper because I wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
I never beat anybody on the head with the Bible or anything like that. I just use the word as my guide,
Yeah.
as the guide in life. But unfortunately there were a lot of things that I had questions on
Yeah.
because I didn't like when I because when you actually read it, and you don't only go by what the preacher is saying and all of that, and you
Mm.
actually read it.
Yeah.
Sometimes sometimes you hear people say that the Bible is contradict itself,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it I could understand how they could think that, because
Yeah.
sometimes I had a lot of questions because I didn't like the person, the external person that they portrayed as
Mm.
God, right?
Mm.
And that's the word the that they would use.
Yeah.
I didn't like what I saw in that person because
Yeah.
that person to me had seemed like a bully, seemed,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um,
Yeah. I
seemed
definitely understand.
fair,
Yeah.
fearful.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you know, you obey me,
Yeah.
or
And a narcissist.
you know, and
And it was a narcissist too.
yeah, and
you know,
I
you
just
had to worship that God in order to be loved, or like to have a good life.
and I always used to wonder how come for years and years and years, you doing what they said, the pastors
Mm-hmm.
and all that. You're doing basically what they said, but
Mm-hmm.
yet you're taking two steps forward and 10 backwards. It's like you're never moving forward in life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I used to look around and I used to say, how come those people that are not serving this God, so to speak,
Yeah.
how come, how come they're getting through and I can't get through? It's like I always struggle
Yeah.
with this. Like
Yeah.
I always,
Yeah.
I could never, it's like I could never. And 8 years ago, 8 years ago, because I used to deal with spiritual warfare a lot
Mm-hmm.
because I knew that we were always, without knowing it, I knew that we were always in a battle.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to deal with spiritual warfare a lot because I can just share, as you would have heard the story already about when I had the Ouija board when I was a little girl. There were
Mm-hmm.
things that I saw. There were things that I think nobody else saw these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I used to think, okay, well, maybe I'm imagining, maybe I'm crazy, whatever, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but I just wanted to say that everything was very confusing to me. And
Yeah.
I used to deal with spiritual warfare a lot. And then 8 years ago, I realized, yes, I knew just a little oh,
Mm.
spiritual warfare
Mm.
um, or of
Yeah.
the spiritual world because the
Yeah.
spiritual world is so much broader.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
much broader than you could even begin to
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like to. I remember when I used to go to the first church that I used to go to here, um, I started a Bible study at me
Mm.
on spiritual warfare. And there were six ladies that used to come. It was um, and we used to have a good time, and it was very informative and everything for them and me and everything.
Mm.
But there was one lady that refused to come
Mm.
because when I told her about it, she said to me
Mm.
that she's not dealing with anything to do with spiritual warfare because
Yeah.
there's somebody that dealt with that there and it brought them to their knees.
Yeah.
So the point
See,
I'm making
yeah.
there is that the people are scared.
Yeah. But I starting to think
Mm,
that, not everything is for everybody, like every area of it is
exactly.
not for everybody because like some
Exactly.
people can't handle like
Exactly.
certain areas of conversation, they have to stay in, their well, I didn't want to say it this way, but I can't think of a better way to say it. They gotta stay in their lane for now.
Yeah,
They have to stay on the picnic
exactly.
bench for now, until they're ready because spirituality to me is doing things when you're ready and not according to how
Exactly.
other people see what stage you should be at in your spirituality or where you should be, how far you should be and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So
But
I
you
want
see,
uh-huh.
I can let you speak now, but I had to get a divine revelation from Spirit Himself.
Mm,
And that was 8 years ago.
yeah.
Either 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I told you this already in one of our talks. I told you this that I heard in my head
Mhm.
this the spirit said to me, "Don't call me that name anymore.
Mhm.
That's not me.
Yeah.
That's not me."
Yeah.
And I would. I don't care what anybody said to me. They weren't there. They didn't
Yeah.
hear the voice. They didn't,
Yeah.
they weren't there because a lot of people think, and this is a lie from the pits of hell.
Mm,
A lot of people think that, oh, it doesn't matter. It
mm,
doesn't matter what name you use. What
mm,
matters is that is the spirit behind it, and you
mm,
know what you're talking about. First of all, I I have evolved over the years, and I do not
mm,
believe anymore
mm,
at all
mm,
that there is any external being, because I
mm,
found it hard to believe when I was saying I do not believe that is any external being. I think that it is all inside of us.
mm,
And when I started to realize that, I realized that my life started then to make sense
yeah.
because then I was open to do all the different things that I told you that I evolve and I do because
Yeah.
when I was stuck, when I was stuck in that box, because it is a box, and when I
Mm,
was stuck in that box, I would have never thought of venturing out and
yeah.
starting a YouTube channel. I was a consumer. I would
Yeah.
never thought of starting a YouTube channel. I would
Yeah.
never thought of doing herbalism. I would never thought of doing anything like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to share a little bit of my religious spirituality story. So I'm going to see if I could talk fast. Um, you, I was brought up in church. You know, we were in and out of church. Sometimes we were consistent churchgoers, and then sometimes we weren't. You know, and we would also move from different churches. You know, we will go to different churches. I'm talking about childhood.
I know
Um, okay, so that's childhood, and um, as I became an adult, my husband actually I was very pleased, I guess, to realize that my husband was somebody that played in the church. So played an instrument in the church. So he was a saxophonist for the church that he goes to, and he invited me to church. And I think it's in that moment, along with other little mini moments, that I was really impressed with him. I really thought that he would be wonderful to um, to be with. So he invited me to church on a day he was playing. So
yeah,
I was impressed with that. And then there was other little things too that I made me really really love him. So that's that. And we kind of like tried to do the Christian thing and be active in the church, and we went from different church. We went to more, different churches. Like when we came to the US, then, we eventually started trying different churches. And, I was, so I've been to many different churches. I've experienced church in different, from many different perspectives because I've been to many. And I've volunteered and tried to help out in some. And, I just never felt, I struggle with anxiety. That's one. But I never felt. But I still tried. I still tried to help and do things. But I never felt connected. You know, I never felt. I never felt connected. I always felt like an outsider, and I always felt like having people Christians in your life was connected to, it was like it felt conditional. Like it was connected to if you come to church, it was connected to if you did things in church, it was connected to what can you give the church,
it's
you
true.
know and any time that I went through, I've been in church
It's
at so many hard moments in my life. Like one of the moments I've been in church is when I lost my son, and I had a hard pregnancy. It wasn't like sudden. It was like a difficult pregnancy in which the church was aware of, and everybody in the church that I was going to disappeared, and was nowhere to be found. And I remember thinking that someday I'm gonna have a church and I'm gonna do church differently. I'm gonna have my own church, you know. And I had ideas for a different kind of church, right? And in 2016 I had my spiritual awakening. That's when I felt like I started to realize that church wasn't a building, and I realized that I felt more connected to God at the park on Sundays. I went to the park with my kids, a few with my family, a few Sundays, and I felt like so connected to God in that time. I felt like God was in the butterflies and the spider and in the pond and in the flowers. I just That's where I felt God. That was the first time I felt God, you know, God in the sense of God, you know, what we believe God, the spirit, you know, whatever, you know. So I, the more I connected in that way, the more disconnected from the building, you know, and I started to feel that I started to feel that pull, like I was disconnected. I didn't feel, I literally at one point got to the point where I like was feeling physically not ill being in that building. Like I didn't feel good. I didn't want to be there. You know, I didn't feel like I didn't belong. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to go back to going to the park on Sunday and all that kind of stuff, you know, because that's where I felt like I was connecting with God, you know. And from that spiritual awakening to now, I've started to evolve and evolve and evolve and evolve. And because while I was transitioning, like I said, the world was also transitioning, the world was shifting. You know, I started paying more attention to politics. And when I started paying more attention to politics, I started to get to know people, you know, like get not personally, but witness people, you know, witness what kinds of hearts people have, what kinds of hearts Christians have, you know, the
Yeah,
hypocrisy in some of the people that you thought was Christians that you would have been more shocked to believe of what they supported, you
yep.
know, and what they, yeah, what they blindly supported. And I was like the
Man,
most,
the man of lawlessness.
yes, you
The
know.
man of lawlessness.
And the fact that all the verses that I learned and all the stories I learned, that to me I took to heart, even if I didn't memorize what part of the Bible it is, I took it to heart, you know, like not worshiping an idol, you know what I mean, not bowing to an idol. I mean, there's so many different verses that I took to heart that I'm like, I'm watching these Christians and I'm like, huh, were we not in the same church, were we not learning the same thing? I'm confused, you know? So that caused me to see the church differently. I was already out of the church. I wasn't in it anymore because I had my awakening and I thought I connected to God differently. But then as I witnessed things, as I started to pay attention to things out in the world, I started to realize that to me, everything that these people was teaching, they didn't even understand themselves. They didn't get it themselves because when it came time to for testing, when it came time for you to like the proof in the pudding, you know, when it was
It's
time for you to
true.
show
They never
that
did.
those lessons, you failed miserably. You failed miserably, you know?
And it is true because I want to share something very quickly. But when that would have been probably 5 years ago or something like that, after the whole divorce and everything, and I didn't, I wasn't anywhere yet.
Yeah.
I remember one day I went to work with my suitcase, overnight bag, and I had just started to work there because I had just got the job. It was like September 2021 or something. I can't remember. But I just get the job, or 2019, whatever. And this this lady, she was there. I did not even know that she was a believer and that sort of thing, that sort of way.
Yeah.
But it was 3 days that she saw me. 3 days. I was only there for 3 days. And I
Mm-hmm.
came in right overnight back, and she asked me, she told me that the spirit, she didn't use that word, but the spirit keep nudging at her, telling her,
Mm,
ask her, ask her,
mm, yeah.
you know. So she asked me, she said, do you want somewhere to stay?
Mm,
And I looked at her sideways because that's what we do. Because she only knew me for like 3 days. I don't know her. I don't know.
yeah.
But she, she is what you call a Catholic.
Mm,
But she showed me more love than those people that, you go to church and
mm,
they're there for you when you're at church. But as you
mm,
say, if you don't come to
yeah.
church for 3 Sundays
Yeah.
or whatever, and they don't see you, nobody picks up the phone to
Out
call.
of sight, out of mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody picks up the phone to call and say, "Oh, I ain't see you at church." Blah 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 blah. But the point I'm making with her is that she asked me, and in the beginning, I told her, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And I went to stay by one of the girls because she was close to where I work at that time.
Mm,
And I went and stayed by one of the girls one night,
mm,
and that was somebody that I go to church with and stuff like that. And it was
mm,
like, are you
mm,
kidding me? I don't want to say it, but it was like, are you kidding me? And then the next day, when I went to work,
yeah.
I asked the girl that had asked me if I wanted somewhere to stay. I asked her if the offer was still on the table. Right?
Mm,
She said, "Yeah, you could come, you could stay by me. You could stay by me when we working, and then when you off, you could go back up by." Cause the place where I was staying, the church where I was staying at was like 35 minutes away from where I work. So it would have been too much money for Uber.
yeah.
But yeah, you could stay by me when we work and we catch the bus, blah, blah, blah. And that girl taught me how to catch the bus. She
Yeah.
taught me how to get around.
Yeah.
In, and it so happens then that I ended up getting an apartment 3 minutes away from where her apartment was.
Yeah.
And I, all I could say is that I was so appreciative, and that was what you would call,
Mm,
as the world will call it, godly love. That is
yeah.
godly love, and she was hearing from the Spirit because
Yeah.
the Spirit was telling her, ask her. And she said, no, I can't ask her. And she was having this
Mm,
battle in her head
yeah.
with the Spirit.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So it tells me basically the spirit is inside of us.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
inside of us. Everything we need is inside of us.
Yeah, because like I was saying, on my spirituality evolution, I witnessed things. I had already started to disconnect from the church and realized to me that church was nature. My church felt like my connection to spirit, like you said, it to was
The
nature,
universe.
you
Yes,
know, the
the earth.
universe.
The
And once I gosh, mommy, once you when I experienced that awakening, it was like the most beautiful, eye opening feeling, that I've ever experienced. And it's also from that too, from all of that, from losing my son and witnessing how the church was like nowhere to be found when I went through that, and then the spiritual awakening, all that made me start to move away from the anxiety that I was struggling with for like most my young adulthood. and all my young adulthood and some of my teenage years, and it changed everything for me. And then once I started to actually educate myself on the world, like paying attention to politics, paying attention to various things, right? The more I understood, the more I realized that a lot of the things that I was giving, I know this might sound like think like people say it's the grace of God and it's God that do this and all that. But the more I understood things, the more I understood that a lot of the things that I was giving God credit for was actually human beings, you know, and I don't, I'm not an atheist. I do believe in the source. I do believe, like you said, that God is here. His spirit is inside of you, right? And human beings that do good is a representation of God, because to me, God is love, God is nature, God is us, right? And when we are doing good, as far as I'm concerned, you representing. I hear a lot of terms now that I didn't know before. Like people say Christ consciousness, and
Yeah,
all these kind of things.
yeah,
You represent the Christ consciousness. You represent
exactly.
God. You
Heaven
represent
and
you
hell.
is
Heaven
that. So when you
and
do bad, now you representing the devil. You representing the
heaven.
darkness of humanity, the shadow parts of us.
And
So.
another thing,
Mhm,
coming back to Yahusha that walked on this earth,
mhm,
I think that this world is a upside down world. When I
mhm,
say that, I think that a lot of what we call evil is not really evil.
mhm.
It was given to us. It was given to us to make us think that these things
Mm.
were evil,
So that
but
you would be afraid
so
of
that
it, so
you
you
would,
won't, yeah.
so that you would stay in
You would stay in the control of the people
your
that wanted to maintain control, you
exactly,
know? So,
exactly. So Yahusha, he came and he was what people would classify today as a
yeah,
rebel.
yeah.
But
And, yeah,
you hear about him when he was 12 years old, then you didn't hear anything more about him till he was 33. He started his
yeah,
ministry at 33.
yeah,
So I think it's 12. Where did he go for
mm,
those
mm,
18 years?
mm, yeah.
You know,
I,
there are a lot of people that go in the mountains and they start
yeah,
to learn
yeah, yeah,
themselves. You got to learn yourself.
yeah, yeah,
You got to get, as you said, the Christ consciousness
yeah.
and learn
Um, the thing is too, it's funny that you say that, because you know a part of my too my evolution is that I realized throughout the whole process I was never into the church. The one thing that um
and until
attracted
what
me,
Jesus.
yeah, the one thing that attracted me to Christianity was the Christ part of it, and not the Christ part of it as in religious rules and religious, the way how religion saw it. It was more like the love of Jesus.
And that's what he said. He says
I
that
was
let
always
me
just
hear
attracted
nothing.
to the words that Jesus would say. And I said Jesus. I know you said you call him a different name, but
That's it
I
doesn't matter.
but
Uh,
I said Jesus because that's what I accustomed to saying. But
yeah,
like I think that what attracted me, what made me want to try to be a Christian throughout the whole process was what his words, his stories, his lessons, his life, like what I knew of
and
it, you know
that's what
and
he
I don't think that there was anything that appealed to me in the Bible more than the Jesus of the Bible. Like that was the one thing that pulled me in and
but he
wanted me to
showed
be
us
like Jesus, because I wanted to, I wanted to. And I there's this verse too that I remember, that sticks with me too, when he says that what did it say? He said um that you wouldn't, like in your own hometown, they
oh
would,
yeah.
what is that word?
He never the thing about him
That
is he never he
Was
never preached.
accepted by his
He
own
was
people.
never accepted by his own people and
Yeah.
his own hometown because you know why? And that is what happens to all of us.
Mhm.
You know why?
Mhm.
They look at us or they look at him.
Who they as who they thought we
Isn't that
were.
isn't
Yeah.
that the carpenter's son?
Exactly,
How
like
dare
who
you?
we were born as and who we were born to and the life we was born into and all that. They already got like this history built up in their mind about the person, so you can't
Exactly.
accept the transitioned person, And I like I that one that was one of the things that he said that really appealed to me because I always knew that like I was never who like the whole time I was growing up, I wasn't myself yet. I was becoming. You know what I mean? So once you fully become, then you gotta be you have to wonder if people are gonna accept you. You know what I mean? Because they because they know you before you became, they know you as a caterpillar, like I said in my butterfly season now. So people can still think that you're a caterpillar, can address you as a
Exactly.
caterpillar and think of you as a caterpillar and judge you as a caterpillar, but you're not a caterpillar anymore, you know
Exactly. And
so
coming back to
yeah.
something you said earlier, you said that we were in and out of the church.
Mm,
And I do believe that that happened because it wasn't resonating to me because I couldn't understand certain things. It
yeah.
was, and then you would see certain things that were so contradictory to
Yeah.
what the word said,
and
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 it was
yeah.
never, you would never, it was like you never belong. It was like you never. So that is, I would search it. I
Yeah,
would
and
search it.
truth be told, I believe that the church is people and not a freaking building.
It
So
is,
when you got
it is
hypocrites in the
people.
church, when you got people that set these rules
It's
and
people.
have these church rules and these standards that you have to live by, and then yet still they do not reflect that, you know what I mean? Then you see the hypocrisy in them, or you see the unfriendliness in them, the unlovingness, because their love is conditional on whether or not you are good at keeping their rules, or good at doing the things that they want you to do, following their instructions and the rules that they design and all this kind of stuff. you know when you see that the love is conditional, you don't feel connected to that. You don't feel that you belong. You don't feel that you're a part of that group. And I
Yeah.
never felt like I fit in. I never felt like I fit in. So one of the things I want to say too, is what I really felt like I officially started to become myself, my butterfly. I noticed, like, I know that I was going through a transition. Like I said, the spiritual awakening, the disconnection from the old church, the watching of what real people in the real world was doing, like really starting to pay attention to the world. So all this was all my life lessons, my experience with my loss while I was in church. All these things was teaching me, like I was going through this transition, and I felt like what had recently happened, what happened in November, that shift the world, that changed the world, um, change, it made the world so confusing, and so it really does feel like end of times ish, like prophecy coming to life, like end of times. You see any pathway to all the things that people said would happen, right? In the church, I feel like revelation times. You get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I felt at first scared and confused and like lost. And then eventually it was like I went through my second stage of awakening, right? And in this second stage of awakening, I became incredibly weird and woo woo. People will call woo woo. And I became more, I explored more than just the Bible, and more than just Christianity, more than just the religious box that we was in the whole time. And I started listening to different people from different parts of the conversation and all that. And I was worried because I was like, oh crap. I don't think me and my mom is gonna have I think that me and my mom is gonna eventually pull apart, because I thought that our bond, well, I thought that our relationship was gonna take a major hit, because I started to realize that I was becoming very, very, very different to, you know,
But you
what
see, but you see
what
the
I thought that
Mhm.
you I thought you were becoming something else and I was becoming something else, and that we were going in two different directions, you know. And now I realize that it went like this. You went this way and I went this way and it went like this. You see what I just did?
Yeah,
We meet each other, like we made a circle and we meet each other like there, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
because you took a different route and I took a different route, but at the same time I feel like our relationship is better than it was ever, you know. And I was really surprised because I remember telling you on the phone like in February, I said, Mom, I worried, I think that you're not gonna like me anymore. I forget how I worded it. I don't remember what I said. But something along the lines is I feel like we something along the lines of what said, that I thought that we were not going to you're gonna start to think that I'm really, really weird. I also told my husband that, you know. And I find that right now at the stage that I am at right now, me and my husband did this too. Like I feel closer to my husband and I feel closer to you than I thought I would, because I thought y'all was gonna think that I was so weird that we would end up like doing this and separating. You know what I
but
mean?
you see the thing about it, while the Most High was working on you, He was also working on everybody else, because
Yeah.
what people fail to realize is that spirit is all around us,
Mhm.
and we so he knows, or our spirit knows. I don't like to say he,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there is no gender.
Exactly. We gotta get accustomed to changing the way we talk, right? Yeah.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
has no gender. But
Yeah.
the thing about it, so while spirit was working on you,
Hmm.
he was also working on everybody else
Yeah.
connected to you.
Yeah.
Because I know when I got my revelation, or when I still get my revelations,
Hmm.
I burst into tears sometimes,
Yeah.
because I said to myself, so why couldn't I have known this a long time ago? Why did you tell me this a long
Cause
time?
it's
You
like
know,
we take a
and
class, you know. Yeah, we had to
and
go through
and I cried,
stages,
and I
because
cried.
but listen, you know how I just described all my different stages. No, I wouldn't have been ready to be here if I didn't have all those little things. Like if I didn't go to all those different classes, you know, and those life
No, but
lessons.
I would not have gone through all of what I went through. I was in the church for over 30 years, and I was
It had
like
to be when
going
the
through,
time is right,
yeah,
because it had to be when the time is right. Because listen to this, the world going through their dark. I heard somebody say it this way. You know, I love TikTok because my TikTok feed is so good. But I don't be on it long, but it's telling me the right people. So I heard somebody say this, that the world going through their it's dark night of the soul, you know, and which is not a bad thing. It's just a thing that we gotta go through, the experiences of shadow experiences that we gotta go through to learn that we are stronger than we think, to learn that we are, you know, to learn what we're capable of, to learn that we could face our fears, to learn that our fears aren't even as bad as we thought they were. You know, we gotta go through things to the
the mere
yeah,
fact that we are still here, the
yes,
mere fact that I am still here,
yeah,
I know that I have a purpose. I
yeah,
have a purpose, and when I look back on my life over the last 7 years or so, I realized that the Spirit was taking me to that purpose. It
Yeah,
was
and
taking
the
me
thing
to
is
that.
too, but the thing is that I saying, right, is that while the world is going through that, do you feel as though you going through the dark night of your dark night of the soul? You know why you're not going through it while the world going through it? Because you went through it already. You took the class already. You've been there. So you had to go through it early so that by the time the world going through it, instead of you panicking and running with everybody else, you can be a calm, you could be a light. You
Yeah,
understand what I mean? A
and
stable.
maybe that's
That's
why.
why we had to go through ours early, you
Yeah,
know.
maybe
And I
that's why
know
I
I
do
know
what
that
I do.
I know that people that going through their shit right now will be like looking at us and being really angry at us. Like, why are you dancing? Why are you happy? Why are you talking about butterfly season? Why
Trust
are you
me,
doing
I
things
know.
that you love? And we will be pissing them off, right? But the truth is, they don't know what we went through to get to this point. You know
You
what I
should,
mean? We, while they were sleeping, while they were sleepwalking,
you
we
should.
were awake and paying attention and already going through our dark night of the soul, already going through our shadow work. You know what I mean? So, so
So,
that we, while they're panicking and running, we would just hold the light and say, come this way, come. We guide them. We say, okay, this way is where you want to
and
go. You know?
that's why I was led into this whole health journey because working grave shift takes a toll on
Yeah,
your body. It really does. It really takes a toll on your body because your whole system is in reverse. Everything is in reverse to what it's supposed to be. So it
yeah,
takes a toll on your body. So
yeah.
you have to do extra um, care
Hmm.
in order to keep this body going the way how it should,
Yeah,
because otherwise it ain't. So I was saying that's why I do the things that I do, and I do
yeah,
the herbalism to try to help people in the best way that I can.
yeah.
You get
You
what I'm
know?
saying? Because
Yeah,
there are a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that don't know about these things, don't know about these
yeah.
things.
Yep. And the thing is that um the thing is that like we had to be prepared for this moment so that we could be a source of stability
Yeah,
in this moment. So I'm glad I went through all the things I went through. I'm glad I went through them early because I can't imagine what it feels like now to see the world fall apart
me too.
and to
I'm
have
glad.
to be experiencing the fear that I've already learned how to deal with,
Yeah,
to be experiencing that fear right now. I can't imagine what that feels like. That is why I try with my channel, and so are you. Trying with your channel to offer a place of hope and love and inspiration and teaching and
yeah,
that and positivity and all that. Not what people call it spiritual bypassing. Not spiritual bypassing meaning that, or I think it's spiritual bypassing, not meaning that you're gonna just block out what's going on around you. You're fully aware of what's
yeah.
going on around you,
I
you know, but you
learned.
just are not. You're not feeling that fear because, as far as you are concerned, you believe, and by you I mean us, as in you,
Yeah,
the
I get
general
it.
sense. You believe, you know for a fact that right is gonna win. You know for a fact that good is going to triumph. You know for a fact that this is going to last for as long as
No,
it
no,
lasts, because it's a thing that we got to go through so that we will become the greatest versions of ourselves.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
that this is not sustainable. You know it's not going to work. As much as these people think that they're going to win, they feel so overly. That's usually what's happening with villains. They feel so overly confident. They feel that it looks like they're winning, so they feel that they're gonna win and they're gonna sustain it. It never works. It's not sustainable. Right is always gonna win. Love is always gonna win. That's always gonna be
always. And
always going to be where we end up. it's just always, that's the way it is. It's
I
just going
I
to be where we
don't
end up,
yeah,
you
I
know?
don't even know why. I don't even know why. When I first started my YouTube channel, I would always end my YouTube channel with um don't forget to spread the love. Spread
Yeah,
the love, spread the love, spread the love. And I always used to be saying that, and it was just something that came to me when I started. And I
yeah,
just continued because I felt, okay, this is something that is me, is mine.
yeah,
And I would always tell people, spread the love.
yeah,
And then after all of what we are seeing, I said, continue to let your light shine.
yeah,
Because what you gotta realize is that when your light is shining, there are a lot of people that are gonna be upset with you.
yeah,
Because you know what why they're upset? It's not because your light is shining, it's because your light is showing up their darkness.
yeah,
And when you walk into a room, you will realize people may stop talking, or people, the thing,
yeah,
or the whole atmosphere of the room change or whatever,
yeah,
because you walked into that room.
yeah,
And and a lot of people say, oh, I don't like her, but they don't even know why they don't like you. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's just
But like, yeah, like you said, it shows up their darkness, you know?
exactly. It should,
And yeah, it takes a lot of courage to let your light shine. And it takes a lot of courage to,
especially in
to
a really,
stand.
especially in a really dark place.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah,
where I work, they curse so much and say, yeah, and I'm
yeah,
there or whatever. They would say, excuse me.
yeah,
They would tell me, excuse me. I never once, I never
yeah,
once went
yeah,
in there and said, okay. Well, if somebody asked me, I said, well, yeah, I'm a spiritual person or whatever. But I
yeah,
don't go, I never once went in there and say, oh, I'm a religious person, I'm a spiritual person. But
yeah,
people feel that energy. They
yeah,
feel that energy. So because they feel that energy, because Tatiana told me the other day, which I didn't even remember, but she told me the other day, but mommy, you've always been saying that everything is energy.
yeah,
From the time I
yeah,
know myself, you've always been saying that because I would always say houses have energy, plants have energy because I remember
yeah,
when I
yeah,
had my garden, when I had my garden,
yeah,
remember I told you, I think one time I told you, Tad, I told you, look, you should just talk to the plants. Just take,
yeah, yeah,
I mean, the garden bloomed and it grew so beautiful. All my herbs and everything were like they had life, everything.
yeah,
And that's because I go out on mornings, like even when I had my garden in Barbados, I go on mornings. It was like a job to me. I drop the
yeah,
children to school. I come home
yeah,
at 9 o'clock, and I go out in my garden, and
yeah.
I would talk to my plants as though as though they were my friends and things.
Yeah, I mean, I've been learning some interesting stuff from people and from, on YouTube and different things, and it has expanded my mind and it's changed the way I walk through this world. And for the most part, I just like feel excited and guided and loved, and I just like, this is just the most wonderful time of my life, um and that is why too I share my journey, because I hope that for other people too. I hope that other people get that feeling, because I understand. I really do understand. I understand all the reasons to be afraid, and all the reasons to be concerned and to be worried and all that kind of stuff. And I really don't think that I would have been able to handle this moment the way I'm handling this moment, if not for every experience, every lesson that I have kept in my soul, every wisdom that I collected and I just kept in my, took to heart, stored it in my heart, stored it up in my heart. And I honestly think that the Bible is not irrelevant. The Bible has the keys and have the knowledge and the wisdom. I just think what was the problem is that people didn't understand it the right way. It did because they were not receiving it from here. They were receiving it from on the pulpit where the pastor was telling you
Yeah.
what these things mean. You were hearing the pastor's interpretation of the word and all these kind of things. And also, you were interpreting the word from inside a certain box, you know, with a certain context and certain level of understanding. Like your understanding was very limited, So once you expand your mind and your knowledge and expand it outside of just what was in the book, you start to understand the book a lot better. You know, it
And
resonate with you differently. It resonate with you differently, and
true.
the
And
wisdoms
people
from
have,
it resonate differently.
yeah, and people have a different interpretation of like not the tribulation, but like the rapture is not even in the Bible anyway. That
Yeah,
word is not even in the Bible. That's a
yeah,
man-made word. But
yeah. Yeah,
but
that's funny.
but
I,
no,
I was, I. It's time to soon end this, so we could probably have this more of this conversation another video. But I was just thinking how you said the rapture is not in the Bible. I have written a note of some of the words and stories and stuff like that that have come to alive in my understanding, awakened in my understanding because of the moment that we in, right? And I wrote down here the Antichrist, and I was thinking that the only time that I've ever heard about the Antichrist is from other people. I actually never read that phrase. Not saying that it isn't in there because I was never fully a Bible study or anything like that. But I've never read anything about the Antichrist in the actual Bible. I never really picked up, not because it isn't in there, it's just that I've only heard about it from movies or from somebody else talking about the Antichrist, right?
yeah,
So, it's just funny
and
that you say that the
and
rapture is not even in the Bible,
and
because
people
a lot of these things sometimes you pick up from external sources and not the actual book. I'm not saying that it isn't in there. I'm just
exactly,
saying I never saw it in there,
yeah,
me personally.
people think that okay, this external being
Mm,
is good. And I know a lot of people that might watch this later that might know me from 30 years ago, 20, whatever years ago, saying, well, she was sick, but now she gone crazy. She
yeah,
gone with this, whatever.
yeah,
So a lot of people think that this external being is going to come and sweep them off of their feet
yeah,
and take them to some place in the sky and
yeah,
all of that there. But that's not it at all.
yeah.
And that is going to be a conversation for another time
Yeah,
because,
because that's a whole new open door, right? A whole new
yeah,
channel into open
yeah.
conversation. Because
So
I,
we
I,
gotta
I don't think,
definitely do a part. We gotta
yeah,
definitely do a
yeah,
part.
because I don't even think we scratched the surface. This was
No,
just
we
a
did it.
general conversation about our evolution, I guess, our spiritual evolution to where we are now. And one of the things that we need to talk about is where are we now? What we understand from the word and religion and different things. Where are we at this point in time? But we talked about our story and our history and our evolution in the church and
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
yeah.
So it was a good conversation, and I definitely would like to do another
A part
round of
two,
it. Yeah,
two
because
on this because people, there, there are some people out there that need to wake up. Because when I started, and I can say this one thing and then we're gonna cut off. But when I started, um, I think 5, 6 years ago, whenever I started, and I was doing my Facebook lives on um, on spiritual warfare. You know, people that you feel should have known about these things. You know, they really got
Mm,
down on me, and
yeah,
they were saying that I was misleading people
yeah.
and all kinds of things. And now, guess what?
Mm,
Thousands of people now seeing it
mm,
because it's in your face.
mm.
Thousands of people now
Which is
seeing it.
why, which is why the world has to go through what it's going through, because there was a lot of people that was sleeping, and people have to realize, you know, we're
But
not gonna
they
wake
were
up.
so-called, they were
Yeah,
so-called,
yeah. I mean,
really.
and we're not gonna wake up to the same truth, to be honest.
Yeah,
We're not gonna wake up to the same
I get
story
you, but
because
but but that that really. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but I tell you that spirit speaks to me. And the reason I stopped doing the Facebook lives, because
Mhm.
people ask me, why you stop? I stopped doing the Facebook lives because one day I heard in my head, just like how I heard, do not cast your pearls to
Yeah,
swine. And
yeah,
that's a part that is in the Bible. So it's nothing that I'm saying bad about
yeah.
anybody. But the Bible says, do not cast your pearl.
But I mean, to me, if somebody hear you say that and get offended, then they probably consider themselves swine.
Yeah,
If that's what I've always
that's
taught. When you say a general statement and somebody find it offensive, then that means that they identify themselves with the general statement, because you didn't say you didn't call out that person. So if you identify with it and you feel offended by it, then you see yourself as that.
and
That's but that's what we're
you
saying
have to
here.
be able to know how to listen. You have to
Yeah.
be able to
But
know.
that's what we're saying here, is that when people wake up, they're not going to wake up to the same story, because part of the thing that we misunderstood. This is, again, another conversation for another time. So I can just say the little piece. Part of it is that technology has been able to give us a opportunity to peek into other people's perspectives and minds and world, right? And when you peek into other people's perspective, minds and worlds, you realize that we are all just creating our own little world, because you could go and you could get two sides of every argument. You could be on the fearful side or the light side, same conversation, but people's perspective is, oh my god, it's the end of the world, we're gonna die, the world's gonna explode. And somebody will come with you
Like
and come at you and
Matthew,
they will say, and somebody will come at you and say, well, this is why this is a good thing, this is what we can do about this is and it's the same conversation but two different perspectives.
but like,
and
like
be,
Matthew, Mark, not Luke, because Luke compiled his by information given. But
yeah,
But Matthew, Mark, and John, and
yeah.
those people, they were there with Yahusha, but their stories are slightly
And
different.
people
And
gotta start
they,
to realize that you
and
can't
they,
beat up on somebody because their interpretation of something is different to yours. You can't find other people's perspective on something offensive. Just focus on your perspective, and whatever resonate with you, it resonate. Whatever resonate with other people, it resonate. But people have to go on their own spiritual journey, their own path,
and
to
that is what,
and
and that
have
is what
have
heaven
their
is.
heart and their soul tell them what how to perceive things, and how to interpret things and all that kind of stuff. We cannot
Mhm.
be trying to force our perspective exactly as it is on other people. That's impossible. So I can just wrap up right here, so that we can do another conversation, maybe even more than, maybe a whole bunch, because spirituality is not is is that's a big vast conversation,
And I hope
right?
that, I hope that this one, because it was very good, and I hope that this one gets a lot of interaction. When I say a lot of interaction, because they would like to hear the point of views of different people,
you know
how they look at
we will find our audience, and we will find the people that will engage in our conversation soon enough.
exactly.
Maybe this will be one of the videos that we get interaction and engagement, but like we keep
And
talking and
what will make it thing is the thumbnail. The thumbnail, the
yeah,
thumbnail
yeah,
and
yeah,
what you say, uh, mama daughters, not you as a you, but I mean, mama daughters
yeah,
talk on religion and spirituality,
yeah, yeah.
whatever. And
But well, then I will try to work on a really good thumbnail for this one. Um, but yeah, so I can just wrap up here, and I gonna
how
just
long you were on?
end. Hmm?
How long you
I'm
were on?
about hour and a half. I have to cough. Okay,
Okay.
so I just gonna remind everybody. First of all, like the channels and stuff like that. My mom's channels are gonna be in the description, and remember to like and subscribe and share and engage, comment, help again with the algorithm, and also just help us so you know to know to hear other perspectives is a very good thing. Because then it would expand our own perspectives. So remember to do all those things. um, I can just remind you that my mom is doing a summer series where she's teaching about basic kitchen herbs and stuff like that. And she have done cayenne, basil, parsley, clove so far. Did you do? Did they do anything else?
Did you call bay leaf?
And bay leaf, yeah, and bay leaves, yes. And those are
Uh,
some interesting information. It will help you in your body health, in body wellness. So it's good information to have. Also on my mom's channels is like recipes, a lot of interesting recipes, and you learn how to make like the DIY lotions and soaps and tinctures and oils and all kinds of fun stuff, like really good information. So those are the things that are on my mom's channels. Her channels is Sweet Annie's Natural, Sweet Annie's Kitchen, Sweet Annie's Faith. And for me, I've been doing a series where my episodes been long, and I know that they've been evolving to be very long. But I've been doing a series where I like a summer series that I call Today. I just simply named Today, where it's like a daily journal, a daily vlog type thing where I share my experiences, my summer experiences and the things that I discover and the things that I learn, as well as just my observations of what's in the headlines and what is being talked about, and not only just from a political perspective. I talk about politics, but one of the things I find very fascinating, right, which is why it kind of evolved into a long thing, is that how we talk about the world is shifting. um the kind of things that coming up in the news, right, if you're really paying attention, is so fascinating. Like fossils or dinosaur fossils are being found, bodies of people that was missing for years, like this morning. Gosh, what do they call him? Okay, let's just say an explorer, because I can't remember what exactly he is, but he so got found.
archaeologist?
No, like he got found in water, so it got something to do with water
Oh,
diving.
God,
I
sorry to
don't remember,
do that. Okay.
but he was missing for 66 years. You know,
Wow.
the other day I saw there was an article with a man that went fishing. He went missing. Like I don't know what the year was, but good while ago, like maybe 20 years or something. And they found his boot and his foot or some. I don't know how long it was, right? But he was missing for a while. And then they also had found because of the Texas floods, they found a dinosaur footprint.
Well,
It was revealed because of the floods in Texas. So a lot of the things that the planet is going through is bringing things up to the surface, like fascinating things. Things are happening in space, things are happening on this planet. And that's why my videos end up taking so long, because everything that fascinates me, I want to mention it, because we're going through a thing. Our planet is going through something, and I wish that like I always say, I wish my audience was bigger and patient, because the interesting stuff that you will learn from my videos, I want to pass on that information. So anyway, we are good at what we do. We may not be the best, but we are good at what we do. We offer some good informative videos. So all you have to do is to be patient with us, and take the time to watch. But, I really appreciate if you made it this long to the end of this video, and we will have more of these type of conversations in the future. It was a really good conversation.
Yeah,
So
just
you
let us
want
know
you
if you want to hear more of these type of conversations because this is coming from, you know, two laymen sort of
yeah,
like a mom and a daughter
yeah.
speaking from two different perspectives. But as the teacher said, she thought she thought that I was going in that direction and she was going in the other direction, not knowing that, and I told Tatiana this a long time ago, that we are all going in separate, but we are going to meet up at the
Mhm.
crossroads
Yeah.
before crossing.
And if you stay with us, I can tell you that is only going to get better from here.
Is to
Um, we may like we are imperfect. Like there's a lot of a lot of things that are imperfect right now because we're still learning. Like my mother said, we're learning. But as we transition and we continue to build and continue to create, I can imagine where we go from here. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. And it is how do you say, interlapping, with each other. So health, spirituality, knowledge, and all that good stuff. That's what we're focusing on. We're not focusing on the fear and the world falling apart because we're building a new one.
and what
We're
people fail
creating a
to
new one.
realize, what people fail to realize is that politics was in the Bible. It was
Hmm.
just not called
Because
politics,
yeah,
but
because
it was in the Bible.
politics is basically the people that set the rules and have impact over your lives whether you want it to or not because they made the decision for the collective. So being not involved and not paying attention to politics is not very smart because that what happens is that the collective moving along and it dragging your backside with them because you have no say, you haven't participated, so you are being taken wherever the collective goes. So that's why we have to be more conscious and more engaged with
Anyway,
with
but really, we really, really, really do have to do part two on this
yeah,
because
because
this
like I
is
like
going to be part
yeah,
one.
yeah, because
And
like I said, we will start to say goodbye and then five different things will come up afterwards. But we will end it here and thank you for watching, and
thank
there will
you
be
so
more to come.
much.
Thank you for
Thank you
sticking with
so
us.
much for sticking with us and
Yeah,
listening
more.
to us because if you listen to us, you're going to see it just gets better. Don't go by the beginning, it just gets better.
Amen to that. All
Okay.
right, thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.